Hey everybody, it's getting on toward winter here in New England. Just had our first snowfall in Vermont, which lasted for a couple of days, but we had white everywhere, which reminded me that it's time to talk about neutral density filters or any kind of filtering that you can use for your camera. And here's why. If you've used any of these filters, you know they're great for taking photographs of things like waterfalls in full sunlight because they allow you to step down the speed of the shutter because they're letting less light in. Now I know some people are going to say, well, I'm putting glass, cheap glass, quote unquote, over my expensive lens. You are. It's not necessarily cheap. It depends on what you get. But again, you are going to put another piece of glass over what you've got. And some people do this to protect their lenses anyway. But what we're doing here is we want to protect the lens. We want to protect our image, basically. What we're attempting to do is capture images of animals that would be very hard to get during the spring and summer because of all the foliage being in place. So now you have the possibility of capturing those birds in the trees. Of course, different sets of birds, but getting the birds in the trees, getting the deer out walking or the bear or anything else that you've got in your neighborhood. I've had a bobcat, a black bear, deer, foxes, possums, raccoons, groundhogs, skunks, and I could see all of those during the spring and summer, right? They were close to the house. I'm out in the woods, obviously, and I could see them then, but now I can see them better. But in broad sunlight, with that broad spectrum light hitting the snow and coming back at your camera, it can be hard to get the pictures that you want. And that's because there's so much light coming in that you have to step everything down so much or open things up so much, if you're talking about F, that you're not getting the image that you want. If I want the deer with a nice blurry background, but that blurry background is white snow and sunshine, and I turn my f-stop down to 2.8, I may not be able to dial up my shutter speed fast enough to compensate for all that light coming in. I'm not going to turn my ISO down below 400. Might not be able to do anything that way anyway. So how do you get those images? Well, the way you get those images is by having some kind of filtering in it, like putting a sunglasses on your camera. And this applies to drone photography as well. Do not forget this, especially with drone photography. And the reason I say especially is a lot of drone photography is pointed down, right? It's not shot at the level of the deer. You may be shooting down from the top. And anything that you're doing that way, you're going to get the full light coming up from the snow if the sun is out. And that can be blurring to your images because there's going to be too much light coming in. So by having these little filters in place, you can make sure that there's less light coming in, which allows you to have a shutter speed and an f-stop that will give you the image that you're looking for. It will allow you to take those photographs from the drone looking down on perhaps a herd of deer running along on a snow field in full sunlight and still be able to get it and get the images that you want without having too much light coming in and having to step them down a lot in post-processing even. So it allows you for a greater flexibility in what your settings are by having these filters in place. They're usually not terribly expensive, and they usually come in kits of different types so that you can use different densities depending on what your situation is. If you're out in snow and you're going to go snow blind from it, you can use the upper level ones, the darkest of them. If it's just an overcast day, but there's just a little bit too much light coming off of the snow for what you need to do, you step them down, right? You go down to one of the lighter ones, something that's just going to tint it a little bit so that you can get the range of settings that you want to use. And that's the goal, is allowing you to get those range of settings that are appropriate for what you want to do and for the situation that you're in. So take advantage if you can now. There's a lot of sales going on. Look into what are considered to be, the best ones that are out there, and get yourself some nice filters to help you with your photography for this winter. And that's what I got for you guys this week. I will talk to you all next week.